visionary leaders build a life and business legacy on purpose through mindset, branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team so they can make an amazing impact and income and positively affect their communities worldwide. Ensure that you are sharing this show, you're subscribing, and you also are leaving us a review so we can create more amazing content around those areas to help you level up to the next level and also bring amazing guest experts that can share their knowledge and expertise with you so that you can create amazing legacy. All right, Legacy Builders, welcome back to another show. Today we're going to talk about podcasting. Podcasting, we all know, it's a great way to share a message, build our brand, add value, all the amazing features that being a podcaster really adds value to the company and the journey as entrepreneurs. So I'm very blessed to have another amazing guest today to talk about this topic. And we mainly will focus around the growth and the monetization. I know that's of high interest here. So Chris Doelle will be here with us today, giving us some insight around this very important topic. Chris, thanks so much for being on our show.
Oh, thank you. I'm so looking forward to talking with you.
The pleasure is all mine. So, Chris, let's dive into today's topic. So, I think podcasting is definitely something that this audience is very familiar with, and most of us have our own podcasts. However, we might not know all the ways maybe that you know to be able to grow our shows, create more impact, but also align that with the profit side so that it can become its own product and we can really, get a lot of ROI from the time and energy that we are putting into actually the production of a podcast show. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I think a study came out at the end of December, first part of January, that said podcasters are now the most trusted media source in the country. And yes, it's not hard to be the most trusted media these days, but that's powerful. That tells you that what we're doing as podcasters resonates with people, and because of that, there's some value to it. So you can. There's so many different ways to make some money and grow your audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love your perspective. I absolutely agree because especially with today's world where we all can really build our own audiences and be very independent, we all have a very easy way to be able to utilize these vehicles and channels to share our experience and build trust, which I know is such an important piece for a lot of our brands and businesses. So, Chris, based on your process of how you also help other people, what are some of the ways that you would like to educate us on, I guess, the process of actually growing a podcast and monetizing it?
Well, the fundamentals always, are what you lean on, right? In anything you do, it goes down to the fundamentals, and the fundamentals of podcasting are start it and be consistent. If you're doing a weekly show, which is the sweet spot, a lot of people do daily, some do monthly, some do it when they feel like it. But if you do a weekly show, that has been proven to grow an audience quicker. And if you stick to that, if you're coming out at Tuesdays at 11 a.m., make sure you always come out at Tuesdays at 11 a.m. There's so many benefits to consistency because people forget you quick, so you need to stick with it.
Yeah, I think consistency is very, very powerful and it's very challenging for a lot of people because sometimes, especially I just know from the beginning, it takes a lot of energy to add value and to be able to nurture an audience, right? And to always be, relatable and stay in touch with your own authentic voice and, add value to your audience with your podcast and continue to do that day in, day out, week in, week out. But back to what you're saying as well, and what I've also found in my experience is that it's definitely worth it because not only does it elevate your trust in your brand, but also that's the way for you to be able to add value. And the long form piece that a podcast really helps us with as far as content really nurtures relationships, right? And there's no better way to be able to nurture relationships, as we know that nurture relationships is definitely the catalyst to our business growth. So Chris, I had a specific question for you around sponsorships.
Mm-hmm.
So like at what level of downloads, when should we start considering sponsorships, and how should we go about landing sponsors for our show?
I get that question a lot, and there's no hard and fast answer. It really depends on your relationship with your audience. I do play a role in about 60 different shows each week, whether it's just production or some promotion, things like that. Um, and what I found is that you can have an audience as small as 100 people listening to each episode, uh, and you can sell sponsorship into that if you've got a great relationship. And that goes back to what I was talking about before, the fundamentals. If you build on the fundamentals, if you are real in what you're presenting, that relationship will be so strong. Um, and then I've got shows with 30,000 downloads a week, but it's a different target when you're looking at advertisers and sponsorships when you're 30,000 versus 100. Um, the people who are looking to get in front of that audience of 100 are looking for that relationship. The people who are looking to get in front of the audience like Joe Rogan's audience, well, they're looking for numbers. They simply want CPM, the cost per thousand ears. Um, so again, there's no set answer. It really comes down to your relationship with that audience.
Yeah, I love what you mentioned there, because yeah, it's always taking us back to the principle, which I know is very important in business: quality over quantity. It's sometimes that can discourage a lot of people, the numbers behind your
Yeah.
content, and even the engagement on social media, right? And all these different vanity metrics, which they're all important, obviously, to understand if your content is resonating with your audience. But it's also very important to be able to be very sure how you are nurturing relationships and building trust with your audience. It's not just about just like posting content or just putting up a show. Being able to add value and gather the feedback of your people so that you can improve your show over time, and put in the right energy into it as well, and focus on the right purposeful way to be able to attract the right people that want to align with the show and its purpose. Thank you so much for sharing that, Chris. What is your specific methodology to helping your clients?
Well, I do what's called well, it's simply a study where we look at the feasibility of what it is you're doing, and then from there we determine, look, is this a hobby? Is this something you're going to do as a business? Is this something you need to produce income, produce clients, produce book sales, whatever it is you need it to do? Then we will kind of help shape the show, and then figure out from there the ways to support it. I've got a show called The Marketing Drive. I don't accept sponsors on that show. It's me literally talking about marketing, whatever comes into my head. But that drives new customer acquisition. So that's the business model behind that one. Got other shows where, like, we do one with high school volleyball coaches around the country. Well, Baden Volleyballs loves that audience because these coaches buy a lot of volleyballs. They buy volleyball nets, they buy courts, they buy all the sneakers, the things that those people are responsible for purchasing. So again, depending on what the point of that show is, that's how we determine how to monetize and how to grow it.
Yeah, I love the clarity and the strategy that you provide for your clients, the personalized, assured strategy that you provide behind the product of a podcast, right? Because I think
Yeah.
that's very important. It could even be its own business model, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, as the show grows, but being clear around the purpose of, what is the point A, from point A to point Z? What are those results that you're trying to accomplish with your show? I think gives people a lot of that clarity and they know how to invest in the show so they can grow it further, right? Or who they need to invest in, such as the services that you are able to provide or the right people that they're able to get support with. Chris, I had a question for you around the marketing piece. I think we're always looking for ways to market our shows beyond the strategic partnerships that we maybe have with our guests, on our own social media platforms, on our email list. I think most of us understand that those are the leverages that we have built personally. But what are some other marketing channels or vehicles that we can use beyond these that I just mentioned?
Yeah, number one is kind of what you alluded to. It's guesting. It's being a guest on other people's show. The fact that I'm a guest on your show right now will garner some interest in what I am doing. So you look for every opportunity you can to be a guest on other shows. And then if you're a cool person, you offer the reciprocal. You give them an opportunity to be a guest on your show and kind of help each other out there. That's number one. Social media, of course, is great, but again, you have to have built a tribe, or else you're just throwing stuff on the wall and hoping somebody drives by and sees it. So it really depends. There are, depending again on the show, there are service organizations, there are groups, associations around the country that may focus on whatever your subject is. And that's a great outlet if you can find that sort of synergy, that sort of connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Other
Yeah.
communities that, where they have the listeners and they align with the message of your show or your audience, right? And tapping into those communities, just like a good, relationship. It's going to places where the trust is already built, right? I mean, that's kind of what we do with media. That's what we do with collaborating with each other's audiences, right? Putting together resources that we've already built and go in and strategically adding value to those communities and creating those win-win opportunities for that, exposure and visibility, which is so important for the, I guess, the lifespan and the life cycle of the growth of any podcast show. Chris, I wanted to ask you next around maybe 3 impactful lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur that you can share with our audience today.
3 what kind of lessons? I didn't hear that.
Impactful lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur.
Well, again, it always goes down to fundamentals. One, I've ended every show, and we're talking tens of thousands of episodes, millions of downloads. I have ended every single show with the phrase, keep it real. And that's because that's what wins when it comes to podcasting. That's what wins when it comes to small business. That's what wins when it comes to big business. If the more real you are, the more trusted you are, the more likely you are to build a strong relationship. So always keep it real, be honest, do what you say you're going to do and say what you mean. And then networking is a huge one. Again, I'm
No, I believe we have lost Chris as this was a live interaction. So I will include Chris's information. I would love for you to check out his website. It's going to be freshmediaworks.com, where he has a lot of important resources for you to be able to check out, so that you can also get some support if you're looking for that stage of the podcast growth and monetization with your own podcast. I want to thank Chris for being here on our show today. And I want to thank you, as usual, for watching. And don't forget to subscribe and share the show to be able to support us further. And I will see you with another show and another amazing guest. Bye, everybody. Looking for alignment between your purpose and your profit in your business. If you're experiencing these 2 main pain points in your business, lack of consistent cash flow and sales, and also lack of knowledge and strategy for scalability, then we must connect. I would love to schedule a call for a 30-minute free discovery session where I could see what you have built, meet where you are in your phase and stage of growth, and also help you identify some of the gaps that you might be experiencing in your business, in the alignment of your purpose and profit, and also in really carrying forward that vision that you have for your company moving forward, for your impact and also for your profit. Schedule a free 30-minute discovery call in the link below, as my calendar gets very full very fast, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there.